The top stories tonight in Y News. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. signs the Metro Manila subway project contract packages, eyes economic development, particularly as the country emerges from the current challenges in the post-pandemic.
DSWD relieves two officials after a disbursement complaint in Noveleta, Cavite.
The Budget Department assures billions of Calamity funds can still be tapped for this year to aid disaster-stricken areas.
And a recent study shows monkeypox spreads before symptoms of the virus appear.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Thursday, November 3, 2022. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Harleen Delgado.
First in the news, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. believes that the signing of the Metro Manila subway project contract packages will spur economic development, particularly as the country emerges from the current challenges in the post-pandemic. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
The Department of Transportation signed two contracts for the civil works of 4 stations of the Metro Manila subway contract packages 102 and 103 at Malacanang, as witnessed by President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. In his speech, President Marcos Jr. said the signing of the contract packages clearly demonstrates his administration's commitment to pursuing big infrastructure projects that will foster growth and revitalize the economy.
Once the MMSP is fully operational, we envision that millions of jobs as well as opportunity will also be created following this seamless transport system.
The president said the subway project would improve the quality of life of Filipinos in Metropolis.
We hope to reduce the terrible sight of going home at midnight along EDSA and still seeing people waiting to take the bus. That is the advantage of what the subway will bring.
The Metro Subway Project contract packages 102 and 103 will cover the construction of stations and tunnels along Quezon Avenue, East Avenue, Anonas, and Camp Aguinaldo in Quezon City. Once completed, the flagship project will significantly reduce travel time between Quezon City and Pasay City from 1 hour and 30 minutes to just 35 minutes and is also projected to benefit more than 500,000 passengers a day from Valenzuela City to Parañaque City. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Pag-asa still sees gap in information dissemination and warning to the public in connection with weather disturbances in the country, but they emphasize the need to improve the national approach for the disaster risk reduction management to be successful. Ray Pelayo explains why.
Pag-asa insists that they have given proper forecast on the rainfall that Tropical Cyclone Paeng poured in the Philippines. But according to Administrator Dr. Vic Malano, they need to improve the way on how the public could absorb and understand this information to be able to respond accordingly.
Meron pa talaga tayong kulang sa yung gap talaga ng yung pinapalabas namin na information tsaka yung pag-iintindi kung ano yung. So ito yung tinututukan natin kung paano natin magamit ng husto yung ating mga information.
Pag-asa said they were able to increase Doppler radar stations from only 5 in 2005 to 20 until the end of 2022. This is aside from the numerous stations that are installed and being established in various river basins across the country. Now, they need around 700 personnel to man these stations, including those in the line of information technology and technical experts who will maintain equipments.
Nangangailangan tayo ng tao dahil ang Pag-asa ay nagtatrabaho yan 24/7.
They are asking 4 billion peso budget for 2023, but the approved proposed allocation is only 1.1 billion pesos. Dr. Malano said that during the years of the pandemic, they were not able to procure new equipment because the government prioritized the emergency cases in the country.
Naintindihan namin dahil yun nga, parang tawag nun, higpit sinturon ba? Yung kung paano natin uunahin, sinong uunahin.
Pag-asa said that there are now 4 Doppler stations that are under repair, but its function can be augmented by other nearby stations, including information provided by satellite. Ray Pilayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Meanwhile, former officials of the Commission on Election or COMELEC and the Department of Information and Communications Technology or DICT filed a petition at the Supreme Court this morning against the COMELEC, Smartmatic, and 3 telco companies. Dante Amento tells us why.
Former COMELEC Commissioner Gus Lagman and former DICT Secretary Eliseo Rio filed a petition for mandamus before the Supreme Court this morning. They want the poll body to explain the fast transmission of the election results in the May 9, 2022 national and local elections.
Biglang surge ng mga boto na nabilang, parang medyo nakakagulat lang. So gusto lang nating malaman para malaman ng mga tao na maayos naman yan, no? So kaya humihingi lang kami ng records.
They ask the High Tribunal to issue a temporary restraining order to compel the respondents or the COMELEC, Smartmatic, and the 3 telco companies operating in the country to preserve the transmission logs of the election results.
Ang aming hinihiling lang dito, ma-preserva yung mga transmission logs.
Kasi baka i-delete na nila after 6 months eh.
Meanwhile, the Commission said the petition is a welcome development for them to respond in the proper venue, and they will always abide over any order or process of the Supreme Court. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Former Department of Justice or DOJ Secretary Vitaliano Aguirre refuted the claim of former Bucor officer in charge Rafael Ragos that he allegedly coerced him to make statements against former Senator Laila de Lima. Aguirre said Ragos lied and he may be charged with perjury.
Bago umalis si Ragos papuntang Amerika, ay sinabi niyang pinilit ko raw siya, kinuwers ko raw siya para idiin si Secretary de Lima na puro kasinungalingan at walang katotohanan.
Ragos recently recanted his statements against De Lima over the former senator drug case. Meanwhile, De Lima's camp refused to comment on Aguirre's pronouncement.
The Department of Education clarifies that the order to return laptops saying that the said gadgets are really meant for school computer laboratories and was only borrowed by teachers for distance learning. Janice Enhente reports why.
Now that full face-to-face classes resumes in the majority of public schools in the country, the Department of Education through its schools division offices orders public school teachers to return the gadgets issued to them for conduct of distance learning. In a memorandum released by the DepEd Office of the Undersecretary for Administration issued on April 2020, it authorizes school heads to release desktop computer, laptops, tablets, PCs, and smartphones to teachers for use in the conduct of online trainings and classes during COVID-19 pandemic. Among the guidelines stated was the teachers are required to return the said devices upon resumption of regular classes.
Ang explanation po kasi dyan is, of course, kakailanganin naman po natin yung mga pinahiram na kagamitan para po ilagay sa mga paaralan natin para naman po magamit talaga ng ating mga learners for which they were originally intended. So yan po yung talagang nangyari dyan. And currently naman po, ayon po sa reports natin, binabalik naman po ng mga teachers natin.
However, POA said that schools who are still implementing blended learning can still continue using the borrowed gadgets as it was really meant for the conduct of online classes, while teachers in full in-person classes may still request for a gadget if needed.
Doon po sa memo na in-issue ni SDS Corpus sa asking the teachers na ibalik po yung napahiram, it also says there that if the teachers really need to use those laptops, that they can lodge their respective requests po to their respective school heads. Talaga naman pong pwede silang humiram, magre-request lang po sila sa school head sila for use of those gadgets. Pwede rin yung school head nila mag-request rin sa DepEd kung talagang kailangan ng mga laptops at tayo naman po, basta naman po may supply, magpagbibigyan naman po natin.
Janice Enhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Several residents were shocked after their homes were flooded during the onslaught of severe tropical storm Paeng. Experts meanwhile reiterated the need for an improved risk assessment for better disaster response. Eileen Cerudo will explain why.
Drastic effects of super typhoons and preventive response during natural calamities will be better if the national government implements a probabilistic risk assessment or PRA. According to Professor Mahar Lagmay, Executive Director of University of the Philippines Resilience Institute, residents can be more protected if the local government can anticipate which areas are more prone to flooding, landslide, and storm surge. He explains a probabilistic risk assessment is an essential tool for disasters.
Kapag gumamit tayo ng maraming senaryo na gano'n, na ang tawag ay probabilistic risk assessment, hindi pa nangyayari, nakakapagprepara na ang mga tao para yung basihan ng kanilang aksyon ay nandoon na.
Professor Lagmay laments the lack of probabilistic risk assessment in the country, which resulted to lack of preparedness and unanticipated floods in several areas. To check if your area is prone to floods, landslides, or storm surge, visit noa.up.edu.ph. The map will provide information if your area is a little to none, medium, or high hazard level. Professor Lagmay said this can be used not just for disasters but other government sectors will also benefit from the data.
Pag nilapat mo yung mga mapa ng multi-senaryo ng baha, malaki pa doon sa alam natin, hindi pa nangyayari yun, nakapag-prepara ka na. Hindi mo na madidinig yung, ay first time ito. Okay, hindi namin alam ito, hindi namin alam ang gagawin.
He also reiterated the effects of climate change would mean stronger typhoons in the country, so a need for wiser infrastructure programs would help prevent natural disasters such as flooding and landslides. Eileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Budget Department assures billions of calamity funds can still be tapped for this year to aid disaster-stricken areas. Meanwhile, a lawmaker recommends cuts in the proposed confidential funds of the government to augment the country's disaster response budget next year. Harleen Delgado tells us why.
Senate Minority Leader Aquilino Coco Pimentel is proposing to reallocate some proposed funds of the government to disaster response for next year. Pimentel recommends rechanneling the funds allocated to non-essential projects, activities and programs, both in the current budget and next year's 5.2 trillion peso proposed national budget to the 2023 Calamity Fund. The senator notes that while next year's Calamity Fund is higher than of this year, it could easily be proven insufficient. The proposed 2023 National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Fund, commonly known as the Calamity Fund, is at 31 billion pesos. 30 billion pesos is for disaster response, while 1 billion pesos is allocated for the Marawi Siege Victims Compensation Fund. The lawmaker also suggests cutting the proposed 9.2 billion peso confidential and intelligence funds to strengthen the country's disaster response capabilities. These include improving the weather forecasting capabilities of Pag-asa, build houses, and repair roads and bridges damaged by by typhoons and earthquake. Included in the proposed confidential and intelligence funds are 4.5 billion pesos for the Office of the President, 806 million pesos for the Philippine National Police, and 500 million pesos each to the Office of the Vice President and Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency. Meanwhile, for Senate Finance Committee Chairperson Sani Angara, the 30 billion peso Calamity Fund is appropriate given the increased frequency and magnitude of the recent typhoons. Despite this, he says the committee is open to changes in the proposed budget to improve the government's disaster response. The Senate is set to resume session next week. Angara is expected to sponsor the committee report containing the proposed national budget on Tuesday, opening the budget deliberations at the plenary. Senate President Mig Zubiri earlier said they are reviewing the adjustments to be made in the disaster management funds for the 2023 national budget following the earthquake in Abra and the onslaught of severe tropical storm Paeng. Currently, the Department of Budget and Management says the remaining calamity fund is at 6.8 billion pesos, which concerned agencies can be tapped for the rest of 2022. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
A recent study from the United Kingdom suggests that it will not be enough to stop the spread of monkeypox just by asking the patients to isolate themselves once they realize they have symptoms of the virus. Joselito Liquido explains why live. Yes, Joselito?
Good evening, Kath. A recent study carried out in Britain and published in the journal BMJ suggests that people with monkeypox can spread the virus up to 4 days before any signs of symptoms appear. The results of the study by the UK Health Security Agency was based on 2,746 respondents who tested positive for monkeypox from May to August based on their contact tracing and questionnaires. From the analyzed data, they discovered that it took an average of 8 days after having contact with an infected individual before symptoms appear. The period between the infected individual showing symptoms and their contact case also showing symptoms are commonly longer and is called the serial interval. The findings led the researchers to believe that around 53% of the infection happened before the infected individual showed any signs of symptoms and could take a maximum of 4 days before symptoms set in. Baguma Kabisan-Tatanji, a virus expert at Emory University in the United States, stated that the result of the study is interesting and convincing. She added that the data can be used to strategize vaccination-based disease elimination. Monkeypox has already killed 36 people since May, when it suddenly started spreading beyond the West African countries, and more than 77,000 cases has been recorded since then, according to the World Health Organization. Kath?
Thank you, Joselito Liquido, reporting live from Malaysia. We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, Kath. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRMC, reported a total of 150 deaths from the onslaught of severe tropical storm Paeng. Based on the report, 94 of the reported deaths have been validated. 63 of the fatalities were from the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, or BARM, followed by Western Visayas, or Region 6, with 28 deaths, and 3 from the Soxargen, or Region 12. The reports of 56 deaths are still being validated by the NDRMC. This number includes 33 from Region 4A, 5 from Region 8, 4 from Region 9, 3 from Region 4B, 2 each from Region 2, Region 3, Region 5, and Region 7, and 1 each from Region 6, Region 12, and the Cordillera Administrative Region. In addition, 128 were reported injured, 78 of whom are validated as due to the typhoon. Meanwhile, at least 36 people were reported missing. The council also reported 3,963,555 people, or 1,131,409 families, were affected by the typhoon in the country.
Meanwhile, 2 regional officials of the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, has been relieved from their positions after complaints of making distribution of government's relief assistance hard for Paeng victims. JP Nunez reports why.
Calabarzon Regional Director Barry Chua and his Assistant Regional Director for Operations in Calabarzon has been relieved from their post earlier this afternoon. Social Welfare Secretary Erwin Tulfo said the two officials will be reassigned to the Office of the Secretary for the meantime. This is to give way to the investigation that the agency will conduct in relation to the complaint of Noveleta Cavite Mayor Dino Chua that Paeng victims were not given relief assistance as DSWD asked them too much requirements.
I am relieving two of my personnel officials para po hindi na mangyari ito yung mga ganitong sinasabi ni Mayor Chua na ang daming hinihingi na mga requirement, ang daming ganito na binaha na nga, binagyo na nga. So para masatisfy po yung reklamo ni Mayor Chua, ako po, kagyat ko pong nirelieve ngayon. Kanina po, alauna 1:30, nagbaba na po ako ng relief order doon po sa dalawang opisyal ko para magpaliwanag din kung ano ho talaga at maimbestigahan po.
Secretary Tulfo said the reported incident is against the mandate of the administration to immediately send assistance to typhoon victims. He asked Mayor Chua to make their report to address the issue while his officials are on pending investigation. In a separate interview, Mayor Chua said there are 300 from their affected constituents were not given assistance as they are not on DSWD's recipient list. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
A fireworks factory exploded in Santa Maria, Bulacan this afternoon. 8 are reported to have been injured, including the owner of the said factory. Nestor Torres will tell us why.
It was fast 1 in the afternoon when the sudden explosion at the fireworks factory here in Sitio Manggahan, Barangay Pulong Buhangin in Santa Maria, Bulacan happened. 8 were injured, 4 were given first aid, and the other 4 were rushed into Rogosiano Hospital in Santa Maria, including Marisa Victoria, the owner of the fireworks factory. When asked about what happened, she said she could no longer remember what actually happened. But according to a factory worker, they were making a firecracker when they suddenly saw something burning near them. They immediately ran out of the factory until the explosion happened sequentially.
Magawa po kami noon. Sa sobrang init po siguro ng panahon, baka may po siguro yung timplada. Mag-spark po siguro siya. Kaya po ganun. Nung nakita kong may tumakbo na ako. Nung nakita kong may spark na, tumakbo na ako. Buti nga po nakatakbo ako.
Ilan po kayo gumagawa nung time na yun?
Bali, 3 po kami.
According to Dr. Dave Domingo, head of Rogosiano Hospital, they were able to give first aid to 3 of the patients. 1 will be confined due to multiple injuries. As of now, the investigation conducted by the Bulacan PNP is still ongoing as to identify if the operations of the said fireworks factory was legal. In case that is proven to be illegal and without permit, the owner of the factory will be sued.
Ini-establish talaga natin kung may permit siya, kasi most probably kung walang permit yan, liable siya. Kahit naman may permit yan din kung ganitong may negligence on his part naman.
Meanwhile, in the initial records of the Bulacan PNP, 5 houses near in the said fireworks factory was already been damaged. Windows were broken and roofs were destroyed due to the impact of the explosion. Nestor Torres, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
As global temperatures increase, the United Nations, or UN, revealed that Europe has been the warmest continent, doubling above the global average over 30 years. Paul Gatchalian will tell us why live. Paul?
Kat, according to a report released by the World Meteorological Organization and the European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service, global temperatures have increased by 0.5 degrees Celsius every 10 years since 1991. Due to the warming, Europe's alpine glaciers have reduced in thickness by 30 meters, along with Greenland's losing ice sheets, causing sea levels to increase. Europe has been recording extreme weather events in recent years, with the continent being hit by extensive heat waves, drought, and fueling wildfires. While Europe's climate is vulnerable to such variability and change, the continent has developed solutions to help Europeans live in such conditions, being the forefront to mitigate climate change. Meanwhile, from 1990 to 2020, the European Union have successfully reduced greenhouse gases by 31% and have continued to set goals to reduce gas emissions by a net value of 55% by 2030. Back to you, Kat.
Thank you, Paul Gatchalian, reporting live from New Zealand. Russia has confirmed that it will rejoin grain export deal with Ukraine following sufficient guarantees from Kyiv on demilitarizing the Black Sea corridor. Nerissa Dando tells the details live. Nerissa?
Good evening, Kath. Shipments of grain export from Ukraine via safe Black Sea corridor will go on as planned by 12 Wednesday, Eastern Europe Standard Time. This was confirmed by Turkey, who brokered a deal between Moscow and Kyiv after long intensive talks. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan stated that the Russian defense minister told its Turkish counterpart that Moscow would rejoin the agreement backed by the United Nations or UN, allowing 9.7 million metric tons of grain and other food to leave Ukrainian ports. Russia's defense ministry said it received sufficient guarantees from Kyiv, Turkey, and United Nations that they would not use the maritime corridor for military operation against the Russian Federation. The resumption of prolonged grain export deal will bring relief to a global food crisis triggered by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Kath?
Thank you, Nerissa Dando, reporting live from Japan. The New South Wales state in Southeast Australia ordered thousands of residents to evacuate due to rising floodwaters in rivers caused by continuous heavy rains. Lachlan River at Forbes is expected to reach a record flood peak of 10.8 meters tomorrow morning, and more than 1,000 people in Forbes Shire have been told to evacuate. An evacuation center at Forbes High School will be open from 8 a.m. tomorrow. Different places in NSW state, such as North Wagga and Gumli, are expected to be flooded for days, and people have started to move things in their home to higher ground and have prepared for evacuation. The State Emergency Service in NSW has responded to 345 requests for assistance, with 14 flood rescues throughout the southern and western parts of the state over the past 24 hours. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I'm Kat Maraos, live from Bangkok, Thailand. Good evening.
The Bureau of Immigration, or BI, announced the deportation of the second batch of Chinese nationals who previously worked in Philippine offshore gaming operations, or POGO. According to BI Commissioner Norman Tansinko, 21 Chinese nationals were deported to Wuhan, China on Wednesday afternoon. This group of deportees was after the initial batch deported last October 19. The Chinese nationals were escorted by operatives from the BI's Warden Facility Protection Unit, Border Control and Intelligence Unit, and Intelligence Division. The Bureau earlier announced that it will implement the deportation of more than 300 foreign nationals, mostly Chinese citizens, who have been arrested by local law enforcement agencies for involvement in illegal online gambling. In a statement, Tansinko said that the deportation was intended to create a safe space for foreign nationals who comply with immigration policies of the country. Tansinko added they expect the next batch of deportation will be implemented soon, and they are in close coordination with the Chinese embassy for the release of the deportees' travel documents.
Severe tropical storm Paeng has affected the agriculture sector at 2.74 billion pesos, with at least 101,831 metric tons of production loss. According to Department of Agriculture spokesperson Assistant Secretary Christine Evangelista, retail prices has been affected in Metro Manila due to low volume of products being brought from different trading posts across the country. Based on the price monitoring of UNTV News, most of the low and highland vegetables have have increased prices by 10 pesos up to 14 pesos per kilogram. Evangelista said the Agriculture Department is working with local government units to reduce the price hike of commodities in trading posts.
This is something that we are addressing. Kagaya nga po ng sabi ko kanina, hopefully that will go back to the pre-typhoon activities as far as volume and prices are concerned. Kasi kahit din po sa trading post, nakita po natin na gumalaw ang presyo, tumaas ang presyo sa trading post. Hence, meron pong ripple effect yan pagdating po dito sa ating mga palengke sa Metro Manila.
Our kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity.
Good day. I'm Brother Eli Soriano of the members of the Church of God International. I want to invite you to join us in a minute of prayer every day to pray for humanity and the whole world as we go through these perilous times. While safety measures like washing of hands and strengthening of our immune systems may help us through this horrible predicament, there is still no precaution or cure more powerful than God's mighty intervention. And we need His intervention now more than ever. It doesn't matter what religion you are in or what denomination you belong. This is an invitation for all the people around the world who cares for the future of their family, friends, loved ones, and humanity as a whole. Everybody is welcome to pray with us. For more details, you can check out the description box below. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon. May God bless you.
Before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 19, it says, I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live. And those are the reasons behind the news, November 3, 2022. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Harleen Delgado.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Relieving two of my personnel officials para po hindi na mangyari ito, yung mga ganitong sinasabi ni Mayor Chua na ang daming hinihingi naman requirement, ang daming ganito na binahan na nga.
Biglang surge ng mga boto na nabilang, parang medyo nakakagulat lang. So gusto lang nating malaman para malaman ng mga tao na maayos naman yan. No? So kaya humihingi lang kami ng records.
Meron pa talaga tayong kulang sa yung gap talaga ng yung pinapalabas namin na information tsaka yung pag-iintindi kung ano yung so ito yung tinututukan natin kung paano natin magamit ng husto yung ating mga information.
Ini-establish talaga natin kung may permit siya, kasi most probably kung walang permit yan, liable siya. Kahit naman may permit yan din kung ganitong may negligence on his part naman.